Live from the Talking Joe studios,
it's Talking Joe with Chief and Chris. Hey, it's me, the Chief, joined by...
DIAGNOSTIK80. I just spelled it out. Diagnostic 80, Christopher McLeod from the Full Force podcast, and this one.
Yeah, fact.
How are you doing, mate?
inside Chief's mind. Ah!
Not a good start. Not a good start at all.
Right, so this is what I've been up to, and it fits inside Chief's mind. So I'm just bundling it all that guff together. So the kid got up at 1 a.m.
Yikes!
And was like, "Oh, I can't go back to sleep. Can I come in your bed?" And I'm
Gross.
like, "No." I'm like, "No." And the missus is like, "Oh yeah, let's get her. She'll be alright. She'll be alright." And I was like, "Well, I'm not going to be able to sleep, so I'm going to go and sleep in her bed." So I got my pillow, and then before I left the room, I leave work for like 6:30 maybe a.m.
Gross.
And I thought, I don't want to wake these guys up because all my clothes are in the bedroom, so I'll just grab my trousers and my t-shirt now for the morning, so at least that way I don't have to go back into the bedroom before I leave. Fine, so I go into the kid's bed. It's freezing. I don't know how she sleeps at night. Well, she doesn't, clearly, but I got to sleep eventually, and then I woke up.
Is this a child neglect story?
Yes. No. I got up at 5, just could not sleep. I was like, oh my, this is just pissing me off now. I can't sleep. And I thought, I'm up now, and when I'm awake, I cannot go back to sleep. So I thought, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go to Billingsgate Fish Market.
Of course. I mean, that's everyone's first thought, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, this is near Canary Wharf in London, and it
nice.
runs from 4 a.m. till 9 a.m. Every day. I'm not sure about Sundays, actually. You might have to double check that on the stats, or Google might be your friend.
I'll double check it, yeah.
Double check it, yeah. Next time you're in Billingsgate.
I'm all over that.
And someone at work, Sal, my man, Salvatore, had said to me, you've got to get down to Billingsgate Fish Market and you will get bargains galore. So I kept saying, yeah, I'm going to go, and never actually ended up doing it. But I thought, this is prime time. I'm up at 5. I normally leave for work at 6:30. That gives me an hour and a half window if I leave. Well, not if I left straight away, but let's say I leave the house in 20 minutes. I've got an hour and 10 window to chortle around Billingsgate Fish Market because it's kind of on the way to me going to work.
Got it.
Fine.
Check.
Right. Check. So, get dressed. You know, it's still dark. I'm leaving like the lights on real dim so as not to wake anyone up. Out the door, freezing. And so I've got a big jacket on, get on the train, and then I realised when I'm on the train that I didn't grab a t-shirt when in the night when I left. I grabbed a pyjama top. So now I've got a pyjama top on.
Wow.
With a picture of the dwarf saying always grumpy. Because my missus bought me that because she says I'm always grumpy. So now I've got that on, which is not ideal.
I wouldn't say you're always grumpy, just for the remainder of this entire podcast.
Yeah. So then I've got off at Canary Wharf, and I've got to try and find my way to Billingsgate Fish Market. So I've got Google Maps up. That's leading me down a stray path because now I've gone completely the wrong direction. I don't want to say it's my map reading skills, but it probably was. But anyway, I've gone the wrong direction for about 10 minutes. Then I've had to, look, it's over. Then I see a big sign, but then I've got to cross over a bridge and all this palaver. So anyway, I end up getting to Billingsgate Fish Market. I finally get in there at about 7 a.m. And a few of the stalls have started packing up already, but now I've got a massive choice of, what am I going to get? And I thought, right, I'll just get a few little things. So the other thing was I text my mate at work, Andy, and I said, look, can you bring in a cool bag? Because I didn't have one in the house, because if I'm buying this fish, I don't know if it's stinking at work,
of course,
getting warm. So he said, yeah, don't worry, I'll bring one in. So I thought, I'm just going to get a few little fillets, whatever. So I came out of Billingsgate Fish Market with 50 fillets of fish. I found this dude. He was selling. I bought 20 massive cod fillets, like skin on one side, and they were it was like 26 quid for a box of 20. And I thought, I'll tell you what, I want these battered.
Hang on. You had 6 quid there as well. Whee! Carry on.
Oh, and then I had. There was a box of. These were frozen. Then there was a box of frozen breaded cod fillets, and they were like 30 quid for a box of 20. I thought, that's a deal. Get them. Then there was 10 sea bass fillets. And I said, it was like 70 quid. I said, what can you do me as a deal on all this? And he goes, 40 quid, because he wanted to pack them and go. I said, done. Give him the 40 quid. Now I've got these 3 massive boxes of fish. And then, as it turned out, when I got him to work, he gave me battered fillets instead of breaded fillets. So I like battered fillets, but I wanted breaded. So that wasn't ideal. Anyway, I've got 50 fillets of fish, and I'm carrying them in a big back bin bag. Luckily, the missus didn't see it, because that's the other thing. There's no bin bags allowed in the house anymore because they're plastic. Anyway,
bad.
I'm like Santa, except with fish. I've got this big black bin bag over my shoulder with 50 fillets of fish. So I get to work. By the time I got to work, because I had this big puffy jacket on because it was so cold, by that time it was really, really warm. And now I've got a big bag of fish, a big jacket on, and my PJ top is now soaked through with sweat and stinking. So now I've got to work. I'm stinking worse than the fish. Fortunately, I found a chest freezer at work, which they use for all these drinks. I thought, I'll put this in there. And then someone told me, don't let Amy catch you using the work freezer. She'll just chuck it all in the bin. So then I'm on a scouting mission to try and find Amy and explain the situation to her. Luckily, I found her, and I was like, look, I'm going to get rid of this fish. She said, oh, you're going to be stinking up the place with fish, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, long story short, then I managed to get all the fish home that night, and I couldn't.
It already is a long story. You don't have to. I mean, shortening it now is pointless, is it?
Yeah. So long story long, I get home and I couldn't even fit all the fish. I couldn't even fit all the fish in the freezer. So I had to cook up 6 fillets of fish, big ones, and stunk out my house. And then the missus moaned at me probably for the next 6 hours. But anyway, yeah, that's it. That's my story. So things did go well, but there was a lot of things that went wrong.
Wow. There
you go.
Man, it all smells a bit fishy to me.
Yeah. I have been up to other stuff this week, and I've been doing retro gaming. I'm retro gaming. That's what I'm playing. So don't be shaming, because then you'll be failing. Nintendo Power, not in the shower. Sega for the ages. Ghouls and Ghost Rages. Atari Jaguar, how did it get that far? Sony PlayStations gave me sensations. And now I have to go and do some retro gaming. I said retro gaming, and I'm out.
I don't know what's the Doctor Who theme tune.
No, I don't even know how if you were here with us last week, there was the debut of a new jingle, the retro gaming jingle. So I hope you enjoyed that.
I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, because we're in the future, which will be our past eventually.
Yeah, it's Days of Future,
present.
Present.
Exactly. Yeah. He's still got to edit that, but by the time you listen to it, it will already be edited. Hopefully.
And it sounds amazing, doesn't it? Doesn't it sound amazing?
It does sound. Oh, I've listened to it. It does sound amazing. Yeah. No, I haven't listened to it, but I listened to me do it at the time.
That bit doesn't sound amazing.
No. Anyway, I played and finished Desert Strike. Hey there, mate. Want to hear something great? The Chief is here with the Desert Strike update. Correctamundo. So I was on campaign 4, if you'll recall, and all the missions on this, you don't get to see what they are in advance. Normally on the first 3 campaigns, you can go to press start, bring up your menu, and it shows you what the 8 missions you have to do are. And on campaign 4, it just gives you 1 at a time. So then when you do mission 1, it unlocks mission 2 to see what you have to do. And yes, very pleased with that. Only took me a couple of goes, set at night. It ends up with the mad bomber dude, the madman. He gets in his plane and you have to basically gun it down before he can get away and launch his ICBMs, etc. I will post up some footage of that on the Twitter. I showed it to our friend Chris, and he was suitably impressed, I think.
Yeah, I was very impressed. Yeah. Considering I can't even get past the first level of Contra, and I tried a couple of hours ago as well.
Oh dear. The other thing in retro gaming, it arrived today, is my Mega Drive Mini, which I mentioned on last week's pod, which has got 40 preloaded games on it, and I had a little pop on Road Rash 2, which I'll be digging into this week, and I'll give you a progress update next week. What about, have you been doing any retro gaming? You said
as I just said, like just a couple of hours ago, I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and beat that level for this particular episode. So I go up there, I literally just plug in the HDMI cable for my little mini SNES, and away I went, power on, chose Contra 3, the Alien Wars, and proceeded to then want to pull every element of my hair from my body out. Because, my God, it's hard and really frustrating. But the I tell you what, like I start that first level, first stage. Not even kidding. I get through the first part of that first stage is all kind of like bad guys and shooting at you, and you jump in a tank and you blow up a couple of big buildings, and then you get to this next phase of that stage. It's not even the end of stage 1. You're still going in the same non-save maneuver.
Is that the bit where you're hanging from rails?
Yeah, so all of a sudden you jump on like this like concrete block, and then the plane comes over and bombs you, and then all of the lava comes up from the floor as you sink a little bit, and then you've got to make your way across all this lava infested area. So I get across that, and I'm thinking, and this is after about 40 different continues. Like, this is actually dying like a number of times and being thrown all the way to the beginning every single time. And I get to the end of this second stage, and I'm like, oh my god, thank God for that. Running through the buildings or whatever, no one about now. I'm just shooting at those things that give you stuff, which is great. And I'm thinking, here we go. It's going to say end stage soon, pretty soon. No. Yep. Building collapses. Big tank guy comes out. Died. Start from the beginning again. Do the whole thing again. Get to the tank guy. Walk right up to the left-hand side of the screen, and that was the thing I didn't do before. Didn't die. Right. Brilliant. Shot it. Let off a big explosion. Killed it. I'm like, thank God, that's it. End of... No, there's more. Keep going past that, and then you get this massive turtle-like alien thing crop out of a building. And I had like 2 lives left somehow. I don't know how I managed that. I got so close to killing it, died, and it was the last continue I had. So I'm like, you know what? It. So I didn't complete the first stage, but I did get to the end baddie, I think. I don't know if there's another 6 things going on.
I'll play it tomorrow and complete it and tell you what it's like.
Tell me, yes, do that.
No, I probably won't. I have got the SNES Mini as well, so I might dual run it with Road Rash 2 Mega Drive and the SNES Mini. I might dual run.
I'm sure you'll smash it to death, but my goodness, I nearly literally physically smashed it to death today. Like, oh.
Anything else you've been up to this week?
Just busy as all heck. This particular podcast is like my holiday. But then after I've recorded it, I then realise I have to do loads of work for it anyway. So it's for f***'s sake. Yeah, I've got like tons of stuff this week. I think two new commissions have come my way, and they're time sensitive, so I've got to work on those real quick. I'm working on at the moment, and I kid you not, 4 different videos for Boss Fight Studio at the same time. Again, all pretty time sensitive. And what else am I doing? And then obviously all the podcast stuff. And we just had news bursts galore. Scarlett has been cast in the Snake Eyes movie. Samara Weaving. And they've got a guy in, he's probably going to be the main character, Takahiro Hira. Or Takahiro Hero. I can't remember which way it goes around. But he looks to be the Storm Shadow's brother, rival clan leader of the Kuriyami ninja clan. And he could be Kenta. That's his name. That's who he could be. In any case, lots of stuff's been kicking off, and it's just I'm getting overwhelmed. And now I've had to jump on this recording as well, just in the middle of it all. So yeah, brilliant. And CoilCon this weekend. CoilCon this weekend. I'm looking forward to that.
Where's that?
Ohio.
Right, got it.
Next,
I've had a fiver on Ohio State to win the national championship. I think they're playing well. But anyway, let's move on. Beverage for the show, baby.
Beverage for the show. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Beverage for the show. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Now I am gonna go do-do and drink my beverage for the show.
So this week, I have gone for something called Shaken Udder.
Gross.
Vanilla-licious, made with real vanilla beans. Milkshake with no artificial colours, flavours or preservatives.
Nice.
330 mils, plastic bottle. Mrs. frowned at me.
How dare you?
And we go. Wait a minute. Shake that puppy.
Sounds so dodgy.
Here we go. There's a bit on the side that says "Love the udder."
That's what I thought you were doing.
Are you vegan? You're not vegan, are you?
I am. That's what I thought you were doing for a second. I'm dairy free.
Right. Very creamy. Very vanilla-y. Vanilla-licious. It's nice. I like a vanilla milkshake.
Nice baby.
Yeah, nice baby. Did. Right, what have you got?
I decided to go for a glass bottle and a metal top and no plastic to be seen. Just just for the and giggles. Actually, no, my wife picked this up for me yesterday. She messaged me and said, "I'm in the store. What do you need?" And I was like, "Actually, surprise me with a drink I've never had." So she was like, "Okay." So she turned up with a Hubert's blueberry lemonade. Imagine that. Hubert's lemonade, only the best will do. It's new. It's a new flavour.
Is that a known brand though, Hubert's?
I don't know. Maybe. No.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's like super popular, but it's it's official.
Yeah.
Non-GMO project verified, naturally flavoured, and other natural flavours. Don't know what that means. So that means the same thing, just in two different ways. 16 fluid ounces, 1 pint apparently, 473 millilitres, and 130 calories per bottle. And it says on the back, "When life gives you lemons, you get a big truck." So, there you go. So I'm going to.
Did it actually say 1 pint?
Yeah, it says 1 pt in.
But then it says 473 mils.
I believe our pints are different sizes as well.
I was going to say a pint in the UK is 563.
Yeah, that's why we get faced a lot more.
Okay, yes.
Here we go. I'm going to pop it open. Oh, yeah. I even hit the microphone as I did that, so it's an even more. Oh, it says inside the cap, it says consuming this product may cause joy. And it's got a little smiley face with a smiley winky face on there. So anyway, oh God, it smells gorgeous. It smells absolutely
may cause joy
delightful.
To what?
Joy to your balls. I'm going to try it. Here we go. Oh yeah, that's nice.
Yeah?
It actually smells better than it tastes, believe it or not. It's really nice. It's got that real blueberry edge, and obviously but it's very. It's sweet, but it's like the tart end of lemonade, that kind of like bitter kind of lemonade. You can really sense the bitterness in there in the background. A bit like when people listen to this podcast, they can sense the bitterness pretty much running through the entire thing. Anyway, I'll give it a 6 out of 10.
Good. We're ranking them now, are we?
I don't know.
Something I wasn't aware of.
I just realised we never actually. Never actually tell people. We just say, "Oh, that's nice." We never actually give them a benchmark. So,
but I think we should. So now we're going to have to go back and buy all the previous drinks that we bought again and do a super ranking.
Wow.
No.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Moving on. Comic talk.
Comic talk. Oh, comic talk. Larry Hammer writes them. Chief and Chris discuss them. Whoa. Comic talk. Oh, comic talk. Larry Hammer writes them. Chief and Chris discuss them. Whoa.
The whole point of the episode. Woo!
Yes. So, this week we are covering issues 135 through 138 of Real American Hero.
Well, no, actually, it's G.I. Joe starring Snake Eyes and Ninja Force.
Jeepers, you're right, because this has, I'm looking at the cover, and it says G.I. Joe starring Snake Eyes and Ninja Force, like you just said. And it also says top left-hand corner, part 1 of 4, which we haven't seen on any G.I. Joe books before. We haven't seen any predetermined arc lengths. And this is something that I think Marvel were doing a bit more of now, but in general in their comics, because this is something I kind of liked back in the day, where you never really knew you're buying X-Men or Avengers. You never knew when the story was kind of starting or finishing. And then when trade paperbacks became a big thing and started being sold in actual bookshops, the comic book writers were kind of told by editorial to write specifically for a 6-issue story arc, and then we'll label it on the cover part 1 of 6 or part 1 of 8 or part 1 of 4, so that it can be packaged up and sold as a more reader friendly title. And that's one of the things I didn't like about that, was when it said, this is part 5 of 6, because that made me, I knew then that the next part was going to be the wrap up.
And
it took a little bit of surprise.
Takes the edge off, doesn't it?
Yeah, it takes the edge off.
Over time, it became really formulaic, and you started to see the kind of, you started to see the formula, And each issue, you'd be like, oh, this is the build-up issue. This is the bit where the stakes are raised and everyone loses something. And this is the part of the story where they start to fight back. And this is the story. And then this is the conclusion. And you could see that then, and then you almost be able to not predict what was going to happen, but it made things a lot less spontaneous and fun.
Yeah. And the weird thing is, though, even this is listed as a part 1 of 4, so obviously it's a 4-part story. It doesn't really end at part 4.
No, a new thing kind of takes over, but it's still within the same. Like, you're in the same scenes, you're in the same groups of people are still involved. So yeah, it's hard to say, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. But yes, and straight off the bat, we got some G.I. Joe fashion. Armani, Prada, Versace too. Joe's changed their outfits from black to blue. Duke and Hawk, look but don't gawk. Changing their kit, whoa, is that legit? Swapping camo jackets, headgear and boots. It's now neon colours and funky spacesuits. Sci-fi stalker and even roadblocks. While Bill, Flint and Mutt gave me a shot. So go take a walk if clothes aren't your passion. Because it's comic book talk and lovely G.I. Joe fashion. Yep, because... even on the cover, we got a new outfit for Scarlet, which we'll actually see more detail of in page 1 of this issue, but it's kind of there. And then you also see this crazy-looking guy in the front, who I believe is supposed to be Snake Eyes.
Yeah, it's Snake Eyes in his new version 4, version 5, I think. That would be right, wouldn't it?
I
forgot what version we're up to already. I think it's version 5. It's the Ninja Force Snake Eyes, effectively.
Fan of this one?
Yes,
very
and
bland.
No.
It's very bland.
I remember being really excited when this came out, and I saw it in the States, I think, in figure form, and I remember kind of like grabbing it and just going, "Oh my god, this is really cool!" And then seeing Ninja Force, and I think I also picked up Nunchuck and Dojo. I want to say they weren't out in the same years; they separated by a year, but they were still on the shelf on the pegs at the same time, like in that '93. So. When I saw this new Ninja Force group, I was like, oh, cool. And then obviously having Snake Eyes in there, I was like super excited. The card art's beautiful for that particular figure. But yeah, and I won't get into too much detail, but yeah, basically the Ninja Force figures suffered from this kind of like additional gimmick where they would have like swing action punch things or kicks or, like mechanical things built into the figure, and it would hinder articulation and make them not as cool in terms of articulation. And then ninja figures, like it's ironic that even though they had the gimmicks, they didn't have the articulation that some of the other figures had previous to that. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this look, to be honest. And
also, they kind of don't really colour it correctly in the actual issue. So like the cover,
I don't know. I've never seen the action figure, so I don't know what it's supposed to look like.
Like cover's close enough. He's more one colour, all that kind of black colour.
Right.
But in the book, he's got like a blue vest and like a silvery grey kind of, I don't know, get-up.
Well, let's have a look to see who's responsible for the colouring. We've got Larry Harmer on script, Andy Wildman on pencils, Stephen Baskerville on inks, Bob Shireen is on colours, long-time colourist to G.I. Joe, and Rick Parker's on letters. So, Bob, I'm not sure you're correct there in your colouring. Well, there you go.
You've done a bloody good job so far, so I'll take that.
Yeah, so over these 4 issues, what's happening is there's a lot of betrayal and deceit and backstabbing, but not really, because it's all a ruse. So, as mentioned on the cover, it's mainly focusing around Snake Eyes and Ninja Force, and Scarlet has betrayed the team, we learn early on, and gone over to side with Cobra, but she's actually a plant from higher up. She's a plant. She's a hydrangea. No. She's been planted, like a plant, by Hawk and the higher-ups to get infiltrated into Cobra. And is that actually... I don't think it's ever actually explained anything other than that, is it? They just want to get her inside Cobra to feed them back information.
I don't know. It's just wet as bollocks, isn't it? Like I think the overall story or like the plot to get her in is really weak. Like that whole like basically having a tantrum and running away, and it's like, well, that isn't enough. That's not enough to turn someone to Cobra. And why are Cobra so quick to like accept her? I know like Slice has got his own opinion on what she's really doing, and he's got like an eye on her and everything, but I just feel like everyone was so quick to go, yeah, Scarlet, you can join Cobra. Like what on earth, like after all they've been through and all they've done, why on earth would one little falling out about not being a ninja? I don't know. Just that to me was a real wet. It was a real wet mackerel.
Yeah. The other thing that's going on here is, and again, as normal, I've written down a list of likes, dislikes, and stuff. One of the things I do like,
thing, by the way.
One of the things I do like is Cobra Commander. The other part of this story arc is Cobra Commander's, trying to put Cobra back on top again, and he's got a nice little 3-pronged attack. So he's getting this railgun, and this is where we see for the first time Dr. Sidney Bigglesworth, who's some sort of boffin who's developed this railgun. Because they start saying Dr. Sid, and you see a bloke, and they're mentioning his assistant, so you're led to believe that Dr. Sid is the guy, and she's the assistant, but it's actually the other way around. She is the doctor, and he's the assistant.
Biggles Jones, yeah.
What did I say? Bigglesworth. Yeah, Dr. Bigglesworth. Dr. Biggles Jones. And then he also is getting some ICBMs captured, and then he's also got some dude with a briefcase full of dirty secrets. And
just porn.
He sent the Night Creepers. So there's more outfit and more fashion here. The Night Creepers' new outfits. Thoughts?
Love the way they are actually in the comic. I think they look really, really banging. But the actual action figure that came out was a little bit weird. And as much as I love that figure, and again the card art's amazing, it's such an odd choice. I mean, the actual figure is like pink and teal. Right. It is bright, shocking colours. But this, I love how they look in the comics and how like really dark, like much darker they are. And I love how they've got that kind of. It's almost like they're all wearing like. Yes, and they're all wearing this kind of like fluffy, like feathered, kind of almost like animal fur capes. They're just so weird, but I love them.
Yeah. And Cobra Commander sent them out early to, capture these ICBMs and the dude with the briefcase. And they come across as pretty bad dudes, in terms of successful in their missions.
Very futuristic-looking guard guys as well. It looks like something out of Cops.
Well, that's another thing I've written down here under stuff, and that we see 4 or 5 pages worth of effectively regular security forces, which Joe Public, if you will. But we haven't really seen that in any issue so far. We've only ever really seen Joe's, Cobra. We haven't seen any other armed forces that have actual speaking parts for over a number of pages, which we get here, which I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah, it was cool. And they look really neat as well. I think they look kind of cool.
Yeah, they got kind of a new shock-wavy look almost, haven't they?
Yeah, totally.
Well, whoa. We got Comic Ad Talk within Comic Talk.
Comic Talk. Oh, Comic Talk.
Stop. Rewind, selector. It's Comic Talk, but not as you know it. I'm asking Chris questions, let's hope we don't blow it. I found some ads in this comic I'm reading. Chris's brain is working overtime, I think you hear it bleeding. NFL and NBA trading cards. He's digging up answers like bodies in graveyards, cereal, candy and video games. His knowledge is good. Is it as good as he claims? Can he name the X-Men or even the Avengers? Landing answers like, right, we might need some dentures. If you don't like this segment, you best take a walk, because it's Comic Ad Talk within Comic Talk. I just seen it as I turned the page. Put that jingle in. So, this is Fleer Basketball Cards 92-93.
Nice.
50% of the audience love it, 50% hate it. 100% of people in Talking Joe love it. That's me and you, by the way.
Fully
right.
aware.
So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards here. It's going to be a long one, people. Buckle in. So the first one here, I've got here. This one's branded Slam Dunk in the corner. So it's a Slam Dunk. I don't know if he was a champion or not, but he played for Seattle. Sean Kemp. Ding, ding, ding. Right, let's move across the other page. Here's another Slam Dunk champion, standing, I'm going to guess 5'6", 5'7", maybe.
Bogues.
No, I think he was 5'3", Muggsy Bogues.
He was, but when the way you were talking about it, I was like, Spud Webb? Did Spud
Webb? There you go. Yep, won the Slam Dunk
man,
contest.
Yes, he did. Of course. Yeah, sorry. Do you know what? I was thinking Spud Webb, but I said Muggsy Bogues because Muggsy Bogues never won the dunk contest. What am I talking about?
Anyway, so
that's one of the most amazing dunk contests ever. The Spud Webb one.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think he does like has his back to the basket.
Yeah, bounces it off the backboard.
Off the backboard and possibly even then reverse dunks it. Yeah, I'm going to watch that. I've got like a NBA I've got it right in front of me here. I'm just off the shelf. Look, I've got it. It's called All New Dazzling Dunks and Basketball Bloopers. And it's it's a VHS, so I've actually got to find a VHS recorder somewhere. And it is, I think it's like about 50 minutes of basketball bloopers, but also highlights of the dunk contest. So I'm going to find a VHS player. Actually, I'm going to buy that on eBay after I finish recording. Anyway, we've got to get back to this. I've got a guard here for the New York Knicks. He is now a head coach in the NBA.
Knicks, Tyrone Lue?
No.
John Starks?
No. Played with John Starks. His first name is somewhere you might go if you were ill, and his surname is a body of water.
Sorry, I'm like, oh yeah, Hospital River, Doc Rivers, yeah.
Doc Rivers, there you go.
I'm there thinking like, hospital, Hozzy.
Yeah. Next one. This is branded under Total D.
Oh, goodness me.
I think he's probably an all-team first defensive player.
Oh, I thought you meant he had a massive... Okay, carry on.
This guy...
Do you want me to guess now? Is that
yes.
Okay,
well,
Gary
you can
Payton?
No,
Payton?
the glove. He was all-time first defensive. But this guy is actually my second favourite podcast. My third favourite podcast of all time, behind Talking Joe and the Full Force, is a podcast called Crime in Sports, where they take... These two American comedians take not the most famous sporting stars, so they won't do OJ or anything. They'll take lesser known sports stars and build up their sporting career, and then 2 hours of them descending into crime and just taking the piss out of them. And it's really, really good. And they had this guy not on the show, but they discussed this guy's career 2 weeks ago. So go and check out Crime in Sports, and 2 weeks ago you'll see this guy. He played for Detroit.
Is he
one
white?
title. No, he won one title with Detroit, then he won another 3 with... Did he win 3 with Chicago?
Oh, did Dennis Rodman? Sorry.
Yes, Dennis Rodman.
Sorry, I thought that was way too easy. I'm like, no, it can't be Rodman.
We got another couple here. We got... okay, here he's pictured. He's a guard. He's pictured in a Sixers uniform, but I think he also went to Phoenix after the 76ers. He's a shooting guard, three-pointer. His first name is the first name of a action-forced artist. His surname, the first part of his surname is something a rhino has.
Oh, you mean Kev Horn?
You're close. It's not Kev.
Why can't I think of a horn? I can't think of any horns for some reason.
First name is the action-forced artist who also was a Transformers artist.
Oh, Simon. Greg Horn.
No.
I just had a mental breakdown.
Get the first name right. Get the first name right.
I know what I'm trying to do. I can't think of...
You're struggling to think of the artists on Action Force.
Yeah, and I don't know why.
Okay. He spells his name with a G, but this guy spelt his name with a J, but it's the same name. Well, it's a different name, but it sounds the same. Phonetically, it's exactly the same, but it starts with different letters. How long since we unstuck? We're 36 minutes into the pod so far.
I can't think of the name. I'm just
having
a brain fart.
I'm just giving it to you.
Just say it. I can't think of his name.
So the artist is Jeff Senior.
Jeff! Hell. Okay, yes. Jeff Van Horn.
Jeff Hornacek.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Right, 2 more. Deep breath. This guy, he won titles with LA. I think he was a number 1 draft pick. Should have gone in the Dream Team, but he did not go in the Dream Team. Someone else went instead of him. I think it was a political decision.
In 92, 93?
This is the 92-93, so the Dream Team was 92, so he would have been a rookie. I guess this is his second year in the league.
With LA?
No, he was drafted here by a different team. Then he won his titles in LA.
Oh, okay. So who's he with on the card?
He'll give it to you, but I'll give it anyway because we want to move this section on. Orlando Magic.
Oh, Penny.
No, other one.
Shaq.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I could have sworn you said point guard or like some. I should have sworn you said point guard. No, Penny wasn't either. But
and then we got one more. This is a guy who he's here in a Phoenix Suns jersey. He played for other teams, but I wouldn't be able to tell you what. I'm just getting this Dan Marley. Let's move on. Right. I wouldn't have been given enough clues for you to get it. So, where were we? I think they were the only fashion things here. The Night Creepers, Scarlet and Snake Eyes. I don't think there's any other changes of uniform, is there?
Not that I can think of.
No. Cover. We didn't cover covers. So that cover to 135, I actually quite like it. I don't mind it. I think it's okay, apart from Snake Eyes. The look on Snake Eyes, I think it's a good pose, but it just looks a bit bland. 136 is where it's at, though. This is a great cover.
The back-to-back.
This is back-to-back Cobra Commander and Scarlet. And he's holding Wildman he's not holding Wildman, he's holding a bit of parchment with Wildman written on it. That's a good cover. And
you could argue that Destro and the Baroness are wearing different clothes.
They're kind of wearing street civvies, aren't they?
Yeah.
He's got his silver mask back on and he's wearing tweed. But, yeah. I like some of the ninja hoodoo stuff that's going on, where Snake Eyes is they're looking over they've climbed a building and they see something in the distance, and Storm Shadow says, "You can see them because you're a ninja." Snake Eyes knows what they're doing because he's a ninja master. You know, it's a bit hokey and silly, but I kind of like that.
We've seen the Eels version 2 before, haven't we?
Eels up inside ya, finding an entrance where they can. Eels up inside ya, finding an entrance where they can. Bore through your mind, through your tummy, through your anus.
We have seen the Eels version 2. I like this version.
Oh, I'll tell you what, this doesn't count because it's not. Oh, actually, no, Dial Tone's wearing his new get-up as well.
Is he?
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's wearing his slightly updated Sonic Fighters uniform.
Oh, he turns up with like the Brawler and some other Joes. They're doing a weapons test, aren't they?
Yeah, and also the Monster Blaster turns up. It's got a weird name.
The what?
The Monster Blaster.
Is that that green thing with the yellow?
Yes, yeah, the Monster APC.
What's the Persuader then? Is that in here? Is that a thing?
Persuaders. Hang on, let me look. Where's the Persuader?
I don't know. Or is that I don't even know what the Persuader is. Is that a thing? Or is that
an old vehicle that we've probably already, that's already been in...
Oh, so this vehicle you're saying, the Monster... What is it, the Monster Masher?
Yeah.
What was it called?
It's the Monster Blaster.
That's what I said, Monster Blaster.
Yeah.
So that's the other vehicle. And what's the thing in the background? What's the little tiny Jeep? Is that... No, it's not the Brawler, it's the Battle Wagon anyway. I called it the Brawler.
Battle Wagon, Paralyzer Tanks, a Hiss Tank, a Monster APC, Blaster...
Whatever that thing is at the back.
Hang on.
Might just be a generic Jeep. Anyway, while you're looking that up, what do you think about this Scarlet and Bigglesworth, Jones ceremony where they're joining Cobra?
Mental.
There's loads of Cobras lining the path. There's flags flying. They're dressed up as Serpentor almost,
just
with
weird
cloaks
and mental,
and snakes. And then they've got to have devenomized snake venom to drink. It's all very Marvel Comics bullshit.
It is a bit weird and it's a little bit odd and. I don't know. Yeah, I think Marvel bull kind of covers everything there.
You mentioned the Eels, and I do like that whole sequence where they get sent down to dispatch Destro and Baroness, who are now in prison and underground, where Scarlet was kept in issue 21.
Yeah.
They've escaped through the floodgates or whatever, and the Eels come down. There's some panels where the Eels come back out, not saying anything, and just clang Destro's mask down, as if to say, "We've killed him." Yeah, and then the bodies float to the surface.
I'm not 100%, but I think it is it might be the Mudbuster. It might be the Mudbuster, that Jeep, but in a different colour. In which case, it might not be the Mudbuster because you'd think it'd be the right colour.
Yes,
but it is the battle wagon that gets wasted.
It's got 10X written on the side of it.
The Monster Blast is an interesting inclusion, actually, because that was part of the Mega Marines, and obviously
the what?
The Mega Marines, the G.I. Joe Mega
idea.
Marines.
No idea.
So it's weird that they kind of brought that in, but didn't actually do anything with the Mega Marines. Like it was just all because obviously I suppose you've got a lot going on. You've got Ninja Force now, with the majority of that kind of stuff. So for the Monster Blaster to kind of be in there, because the Mega Marines was like G.I. Joe. Super future fighting these kind of like monsters, like bio vipers and like that. So it was kind of weird that they went with this particular. I suppose the vehicle was on shelves. They wanted to sell it. Yeah. Boom, there you go. It works. But the Monster Blaster APC, yeah, that's that big green one. It's the like I said, the little Jeep. I can't get a bead on. I think, and I obviously I could be wrong, and write in and tell me how wrong I am. But I think it is the Mudbuster in different colours.
Okay. All right, we'll go with that. We'll go with Mudbuster. No, Mudbuster. The Mud Masher, whatever it's called.
Or is the Mudbuster the one that gets destroyed?
No, that's the battle wagon.
That is the battle wagon, isn't it? Yeah, that is definitely the battle wagon.
And that gets destroyed because... So everyone's converged now. This is where action kind of hots up and it's non-stop. Scarlett and Bigglesworth-Jones have been told they've got to... It's like a test of loyalty to Cobra. So they've given Scarlett a sniper rifle or an assault rifle, and she has been tasked with killing Hawk. And Bigglesworth-Jones has been tasked with getting this railgun thing, which is attached to the battle wagon.
Yeah.
And so the big assault going on. Scarlett's got Hawk in her sights. She misses, shoots a windscreen, but claims to have shot the fuel tank, which the vehicle blows up. Luckily, though, Stalker, who's also in the vehicle, and Hawk are wearing... Now, I want to get this right where they mention it. I guess we can take off these fireproof non-X suits. They were covered with latex likenesses of our uniforms and faces, not convincing up close, but good enough from a distance.
Mental.
So, so they knew that... Well, that's tricky because... How did they know?
Mental. Wait
a minute. No, wait a minute. Destro was feeding the Joes info to say Scarlett is coming on an assassination run for Hawk. So then they set up this elaborate plan. But I don't know how they got.
Is the word.
How did they get word to Scarlett to say she doesn't
know
the fuel tank? She doesn't know.
She doesn't know. They just got lucky.
Maybe they thought Scarlett's going to miss on purpose. They've got some sort of remote button they can push to blow their own vehicle up.
Doesn't he say something about that, though? I'm sure he says at the end of the issue, or maybe in the next issue, they say something about shooting the tank. Originally, the plan was for Hawk to pretend to be hit by the bullet, but I came up with the idea of the exploding gas tank. It was triggered from a switch under the dashboard.
Oh, right.
Unfortunately, there was no way to let Scarlett know. There you go.
Right. There you go, yeah. I read the issue about 20 minutes ago and forgotten that already. So now, although Slice, like you mentioned, he's still dubious about it all, but everyone else is like, right, Scarlett and Bigglesworth-Jones, and now they're, officially Cobras, that's fine. Another thing is, I mentioned this on a previous pod, I know the toys were branded, Slice and Dice, as Cobra Ninjas, but in the books, they've never had any allegiance to Cobra, and in fact, when they were first introduced, they mentioned something about not being Cobra agents, but here they're in the fold as if forget about it. Let's just call them Cobra.
Yeah, it's almost like they've just I suppose they're just going right. They're Cobra Ninjas now.
Moving on to the last issue of the arc, and this is where again it all just kind of ramps up with full blown action, and this is where we see the castle. Cobra Commander had done it previously in an earlier issue. He throws those switches which change Destro's ancestral Scottish castle back into the Silent Castle, which Destro had turned it from when he started residing there again. And this happens about 4 times in this issue. It just keeps changing from back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, which felt a bit, I don't know, surely parts are going to start falling off if you keep turning it backwards and forwards again. But this is actually the actual reason for this is we find out before it happens at the very last page.
Can I just interrupt? I know what that vehicle is, and people don't have to call in and moan at me now. It's it's basically, he calls it a Command GPV.
Yes.
In the actual issue, and there's a G.I. Joe vehicle that came out for the 12-inch Hall of Fame figures called the Rhino GPV. And it's basically exactly that. That's what it looks like. Right, it's like a little Jeep with the gun on the back. So
Rhino.
There you go. Rhino GPV.
Nice. Good work. Good skills. Yeah. So when they're Scarlett and Biggles are throwing all these switches, Clung, Shunk, Wunga, Crunk, and then you see these 3 little panels at the bottom, which was... I thought it was quite cool. Anomaly, large-scale transformation. Are you sure? Yes. Access visual data from 10 minutes previous. See, it is still in the process of morphing. Could it be another one of us? And then there's kind of figures, and you're like, wait a minute, who are these clowns? And why are they speaking in Transformers dialogue bubbles? Because they're Transformers. So,
dun, dun,
dun. Big fight scene on top of the now shifting castle. The G.I. Joes have come in to extract Destro and Baroness, and it all goes south, it all goes tits up when Scarlet is confronted by Snake Eyes, because obviously they left on bad terms. Snake Eyes wasn't aware of the plan for her to infiltrate. He was obviously filled in by Hawk after the event. Yeah. And then he's done a shook he's rammed his blade right through her torso.
And a shung to remove it.
And then a scrunch on the next panel, which I don't... Oh, it's them busting through the door.
Maybe the shung is him getting yanked off into a plane, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, because it's double G. No, it's triple G. That can only be getting off into a plane, I think. Triple G. If it was him pulling the blade out, I think it would have been double G.
Yeah, total double G bag there, yeah.
Yeah, triple G. So, and then Slice is like... Well, Biggles is like, the cut just missed her heart. There's no doubt he meant to kill her. Still questioning her credentials.
He's Snake Eyes. Like this is where it all falls apart, and why I think Slice is he's kind of like right to be wary, but he's dumb for not being 100% like her. I'm just going to kill her now because like it's obvious.
He actually says Snake Eyes is a master swordsman, and this was too easy a cut to miss. Let's let her bleed out and see how the Joes react to it.
He's got the right idea.
Yeah, I like Slice. Orange man. Slice, I remember him now.
Yay!
Yeah, but he says, Cobra Commander says, I have other plans for her. What's that falling out of the sky? And then the last page, wait a minute, it's bloody Megatron.
At last, total victory is within my grasp.
Yeah, this is weird.
And it's all gone back crazy.
This is kind of weird because it's... For the if you're just a G.I. Joe reader and this happens, you're like, what? But if you've been reading, I think, the Transformers comic around the same time, they kind of converge on each other, don't they, these issues?
I can't remember because, well, I don't know. The last bit is Megatron said not a Decepticon, and Cobra Commander said, listen, can we talk? As if, oh yes, this is normal for a big 100-foot robot to come falling down out the sky.
Yeah, you'd be f***ing yourself, and you'd be like, what? And then
but Megatron, well, this is what I wanted to ask you. Megatron is in bad shape, man. He's got cables hanging out. He's battered. He's got plates hanging off. He's not in a good way. So
he needs his G2 get-up, that's why.
So this is in G.I. Joe continuity, but is it also in Transformers continuity?
That's what I'd assumed. Because
like you mentioned there,
it
was happening in a Transformers comic at the same time, was it? I
the G2
have
comic.
the Transformers issues, but I have not read those for like 10 years, so I wouldn't be able to tell you.
I haven't read them for God knows how long either, but I'm pretty sure that when Generation 2 swung around, the two lots of comics crossed over with each other. Like they did this together with the Joes, and then the Transformers comic had crossover with it as well going on. So
okay, so my next question is, do we need to dig out some Transformers comics for next week?
So I'm looking at now. I'm looking for the issues that do that kind of crossover.
Got it.
But probably we could do. We might as well.
Yeah. All right. If they fit in, whatever, we'll have a read, and otherwise we weren't going to. We were just going to have the next 4 issues of Real American Hero. But if it's pertinent to the story arc, we'll include them. While you're looking that up, I will give my views on this and my yo-joage. First thing off the ball, I think Wildman's a good artist, but I don't like him when he's inked by Stephen Baskerville.
Yeah, you see like real harsh differences between the colours, don't you, as well? Like there's a lot of, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I understand what you're saying, yeah. Yeah,
it's I think his inking style, not this, I don't mind sort of scratchy style, and I don't mind smooth style, but he's kind of in between, and it's kind of a weird sort of bumpy edges to the lines, which I'm not really digging. There's some really nice panels and stuff in here, though. We didn't mention it, but I really like that page where the G.I. Joes have busted the Night Creepers, and there's a page of just like kind of night vision in green.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Where they're kind of speaking to the camera, and the last page is someone with some, I don't know who it is, maybe Dojo, and he's got a couple of knives up real close to the camera by his face. Some nice stuff going on there. So there is some good stuff. The silliness, I think half of the silliness I didn't like, half of the silliness I did like the stuff that you mentioned about Scarlet's reasons and the scene setting of her betrayal felt like, no, that's not going to cut the mustard.
It's hardly a betrayal.
Yeah, she got in a huff and ran off. and Cobra taking her in too easily, etc. But there was some other silliness in there that I did like. The Night Creepers, the new Night Creepers, thought they were quite cool. There's also a mention of one of the security guards that we mentioned having a little bit of a role. One of them says, "That sounds like those guys in there are having a slam dance contest." And A, I don't really know what a slam dance is, and B, the title of issue 150 coming up is Slam Dance in the Cyber Castle. So Larry Hama dropped in a slam dance early doors there. So, yeah, I think overall, for me, it's not a stinker. I didn't actually mind it too much. When the action starts ramping up, it was flowing really, really well. So I'm probably going to end up giving this a low 7, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a high 6. Just straight off the bat, for most of the same reasons you said. Although I did, it's funny because I have been enjoying reading the comics, and I do, again, even though the Monster Blaster APC is randomly in there and not part of this particular era of Joe, I mean it is, but it isn't, then, with no explanation, shout out to Dave Newman, who mentioned that to me the other day as well. I think talking through it brings the score down for me a lot of the time, because when I'm reading them, I'm kind of enjoying them, and even though some of the things seem a little bit out of place, it's kind of like, it's fun, like seeing Megatron turn up all of a sudden it's fun. Like I shouldn't have anything against it. They've crossed over before, just because it's in the main run. Why can't they operate in the same universe? Do you know what I mean? It's just as ridiculous. I mean, the Transformers aren't even on the planet half the time, so it's cool. It also, just to kind of come back to what we were talking about with the crossover, the G2 crossover, the Generation 2 relaunch, basically they merged the two continuities together with G.I. Joe, and I think it was issues 138 to 142 for G.I. Joe, and then for Transformers Generation 2 it was issue 0 to issue 12 is where they have this kind of combining of the two superpowers, I suppose, as you'd like to call it. So yeah, we could always read 0 to 12.
No.
Okay, fine. So yeah, I'm giving it a high 6 because it wasn't totally bone, but there are some elements of it that really bug me, like the way she just has this big tantrum and leaves, and that's enough to convince Cobra that she's left the G.I. Joe. It's just bollocks. That is absolute bollocks.
Hold the presses. Chiefs downgrade into a high 6.
Wow, the presses have been held.
There you go.
Did I just talk you into that then?
I talked, yes. Well, I was mulling it, and when I looked at some of the other things I've got on the Every Joe Story Ever list that I have as 7s, I would much rather read those again over this, so I have to bump this down.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, good stuff. Next week we'll be doing 139 to 142. Can the mega powers, as you put it, survive their contact together? Cobras, Joes, and Transformers all will be told next episode. But right now, I want to hear about toys, and I think you're the man who can do that for me.
Chris talks about toys, ho ho. Chris talks about G.I. Joe. He talks about all the things from the comic book and the animated show. Chris talks about toys. Chris talks about toys. Chris talks about toys. Chris talks about toys.
Yeah, maybe. Well, for this one, I was so enamoured at seeing the Night Creeper version 2 again that I wanted to talk about the toy very quickly. So, yeah, as I said before, and I've already kind of mentioned most of it, it's just me about all it's going to be is me reading out the file card, really. But the figure that came out was kind of a bit bright and a bit crazy, but at the same time, when I saw that on the shelves in the States, I was like, I need that so bad. So that was one I picked up in the US, and it's just bonkers. It's pink. Like, it is really pink. And the kind of the blue elements as well, like the kind of the blue helmet with the red visor. There are little like dark grey bits of, like, it's almost like he's wearing a skin tight pink t-shirt with then a grey shirt underneath, like long sleeve, and then these blue gloves. So there's like this kind of grey, this blue, grey, pink thing going on the arms, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
Then they've got these kind of like padded blue elements down the outside of the legs and grey boots, and they just look bonkers. But for me, it's the head sculpt. And what is interesting actually on the figure is on the card art, I should say, they've got that kind of really weird kind of like animal hair type cape that's kind of flowing behind them. The figure doesn't have anything like that on it at all. There's no secondary, there's no moulded piece on the back. There is nothing like that on it. So I think what I envisioned when I saw the card art was that was just some sort of effect, that it was, like part of the night behind it or something. So I didn't really take much stock into that on the card art. Yet when I saw the comic and saw they had that kind of animal fur kind of cape thing, I'm like, oh, that's what it was supposed to be. Now, either the card art is what they were following, and the card art wasn't necessarily meant for them to have this kind of weird, cape, but that's just some sort of effect to make them look like they're jumping or whatever. And it might have been misconstrued and drawn incorrectly. It just makes for the coolest thing ever on this Night Creeper. And I think without it now, doesn't look right, and that's why the figure doesn't really look right to me anymore. But obviously it was on a Ninja Force card, came out in 1993, I believe, in the US, and also I think, now this is where it kind of gets weird, because I'm not sure if we even got the Night Creeper version 2 in the UK. I'm just assuming we haven't, because it's not on Blood for the Baron on the list. If we did get it, I apologise, and if other people, again, like other people, if they know, let me know. That is a gap in my release knowledge, shall we say. But this Night Creeper is just so amazing, and like I said, the card art did it for me 100%. Slightly more muted colours, and obviously the way I've got to admit, I prefer the original version's design, but I love the comics interpretation of that character so much that it gets away with it, and the head sculpt is just phenomenal. The card, or the file card, says the following. So primary military specialty, field intelligence. Yep. Secondary specialty is covert operations. They are obviously the Night Creeper, Cobra Ninja. Like a fierce dark cloud, we appear and...
I thought you were going to say fierce dark clown.
That would be funnier. Like a fierce dark cloud, not clown, we appear and rain misery over all. Captured Cobra documents revealed the existence of a syndicate of high-tech ninjas called Night Creepers. It is believed that these vicious ninjas conduct all field intelligence and covert operations for Cobra. All investigations into the structure and origin of the Night Creepers have run into dead ends, or resulted in the mysterious disappearance of the investigators. It's actually, I think it's more or less exactly the same as the original one.
Right.
If they're provoked in any way, even by other Cobra members, they are known to react without mercy. They are generally regarded as having the scruples of a Wall Street stock manipulator, the lethal skills of a
fish
master martial artist, and the stealthy talents of a cat burglar. Whew. Yeah, so it's basically the same as the original.
Yeah.
For me, it's... I know a lot of people are kind of against the ridiculous colours and the kind of some of the figures in the era and the redesigns, but I do honestly have... I feel like a real strong connection to the figure. I think it's ridiculous. It is slightly hindered by a special gimmick. In this case, it's like a ninja chop type
like a pork
gimmick.
Chop.
Like a pork chop. But... a lot of the Ninja Force figures had this issue where they were they had these like little blocks attached to the interior of the body, which lock in to the waist. So where the body and the waist were kind of like free flowing before, these two little kind of added additions to the torso mean that the body and the waist kind of lock into position, which is odd and a bit sad. And it does kind of ruin some of the figures for me. But yeah, this Night Creeper, bloody loved it. And it's, the 93 US Cobra Night Creeper version 2.
Excellent. Good stuff. More toys. There's never an end for toys, so you'll always have a job there, at least.
I'll give you a job. What?
Yeah. I want to talk about some other stuff now, and what I want to talk about is British colloquialisms, because I certainly have been over-egging the pudding. Don't know about you.
Constantly. It's all I do.
We got a pudding, we're gonna egg it. We got a pudding, we're gonna over-egg it. We got a pudding, we got no criticisms. That means it's time for some British colloquialisms.
Hit me with what you got.
Well, this came up the other day because Kate was on her laptop talking to somebody. I can't remember who, probably another fella. No, I'm kidding. But She said that she'd mentioned, or that she remembered that I called somebody an anorak once.
Nice.
Anorak. And obviously that is not an American term. And it's something that was born out of Britain and out of Train Spotting, because obviously...
Not the movie Train Spotting, by the way.
No. Out of this kind of, I suppose, nerd culture where people, like groups of people, would get together to take pictures of trains. And obviously that has continued because obviously they would wear anoraks. You know, these groups of people would wear anoraks for that particular, because it'd be cold in Britain, you know, you'd have to, or like raining or whatever. So it refers to a person who has a very strong interest, perhaps obsessive, in niche subjects. And, you know, I think it was the Observer newspaper in 1984 used the term for the first group of train spotters. And that's where it kind of got attached to.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So, yeah, anorak.
Good one. And was it used as an insult as well, do you think? Kind of back in the day?
Totally. Like, it's always used in a derogatory way. And it's always like, you know, I remember, like, I want to say John Major got called an anorak or something.
Yeah.
I'm sure he got called an anorak.
I'll go with that. Yeah.
But yeah, like it's definitely a term to deride the groups of people that enjoy that kind of stuff. I mean, we're a bunch of anoraks in a way.
Yeah, you know it. We're the good ones, though. We got like a fleece lining in our bad boys. We don't mess around.
It's fashionably designed.
Yeah. We're down with the street posses.
It's like a shell suit.
Yeah. Oh, I love shell suits. My one was I was at work because I have a job. So I was at work and someone had gone to the coffee machine and they got a coffee out of the coffee machine. And as they kind of exited the area...
over-exited the pudding.
They over-exited the pudding, yeah. No, someone had put a bag down and they tripped over the bag and fell over, basically. Coffee went everywhere. And someone was walking past and went, that guy's gone ass over tit.
Over tit.
Yeah. Basically meaning to kind of have a tumble.
Yeah,
because
like head over heels.
Effectively, you've fallen and your ass is now over your tit because you're upside down. There you go, over tit.
It does say that it is an Australia, New Zealand, Britain.
Oh, Britain, okay.
Australia, New Zealand and Britain idiomatic.
I think we have a few listeners out in the Australia, New Zealand area, so g'day cobber, and you're welcome to share in that British, Australia, New Zealand colloquialism.
Under-egging the pudding. Under-egging the pudding.
Nice,
perfect.
Nice.
So as to fall over in a sudden or dramatic way. I like that. Okay, cool.
Good stuff. You're not off the hook yet because you've still got some talking to do because it's... Chief Ask Chris a question. Chief Ask Chris a question. What'll he say? What'll he do when Chief Ask Chris a question? So I'd just like to point out that here on Talking Joe, we don't condone animal cruelty in any fashion whatsoever.
Nope.
But if there was a big pit and you put in a lion and a tiger, who would win?
I'm have to go with the tiger because of Tiger Force.
Okay, and if the second act on that card was a polar bear versus a gorilla?
Polar bear.
And then third up was a grizzly versus a rhino?
Rhino.
And then the second co-main event was the giraffe versus a walrus?
Walrus.
And then the headlining act, the main event that people have all come to see, was a sheep versus kind of a small cow. Like... A small cow about the same size as a sheep.
Cow.
There you go. Battle of the animals. We've done it. We've sorted out the kings of the animals.
Yeah, definitely the walrus. How is a walrus even fighting a giraffe? That is like whoever put that together did not take into consideration the weight designations, did they?
Me 2 minutes before we started recording because I realised I didn't have a question.
Good work.
I guess it all depends on environment as well. Polar bear in the Arctic beats a gorilla. Polar bear in a jungle probably don't beat a gorilla.
I don't know, probably still beats a gorilla. They're pretty vicious.
Environment is key in Battle of the Animals.
Gorilla's probably more intelligent though, so that would definitely come into play somewhere.
Yeah, what, you'd like tell him a joke or like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, he'd make him laugh himself to death. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to say make him a lasagna or something and, you know, get him distracted by eating a lasagna and then he bops him on the head. Anyway, there'll be another question next week. It will not be animal fighting related, so don't worry about that. But it may be something else along those lines. It'll be pop culture probably. Anyway, you can join us next week, or you can, but I'm saying do join us next week. We'll be covering issues 139 to 142. You can find us in all the usual places. That's Talking Joe Comics on Instagram, Talking_Joe on Twitter, TalkingJoeComics@gmail.com, and Talking Joe a G.I. Joe podcast on Facebook. Smudger, you messaged me on Instagram asking if I'm going to the London MCM Comic Con next week, and I said I was going to check out dates, and I have not got back to you yet. I will get back to you, but by the time you hear this, I think it might have come and gone, so don't worry, that'll be in the past, but actually the present, I think. Anyway, we'll sort it out. Where can the good people find you, sir?
Diagnostic80 on Twitter and Instagram, and of course the Full Force podcast on Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube and Patreon.
Yeah, catch me on Cheapy Two Shoes on Twitter if you want to, and if not, or if you do want to read ahead, please do it. Write in, let us know how we're doing, and we've got a possible special guest coming up for an interview, a special episode, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. I'll let you know more details next week if we have it. And with all that said and done, we will catch you down the road.
Bye.